Hello, hello. That was fast.
Oh,
Wow. That intro was super fast. I'm like,
yes.
wait a minute. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Blasian Soul Podcast. Today, collaborating with Decovia Livingston with Free For You Services. And in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, this month being May, we brought a few different a few different experts, all different fields working with mental health. And Decovia had an idea to bring everyone together so we can talk about a very important topic, youth mental health, right? And so, Decovia, you can go ahead and share with us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So again, thanks for having me and all our panelists on their today on your show. So Free For You Services is an organization that does community outreach services for different people, different ages, different backgrounds, financial and ethnical backgrounds. And this month is mental health awareness month, and I decided to do something mental health because I'm starting to see a rise of different things that kids are going through. Kids are doing things that I can't even imagine or even wrap my head around as to why they do the things that they're doing. You're seeing a lot of crime in the city of Chicago. Kids, it's almost like the purge, like the children are taking over, almost like the parents have given up, or I don't know. I'm just reaching out to see what can be done. I know a lot of people have questions themselves as far as how they can get help with their kids. I had on my own personal experience with someone in my family that was like a kid to me that threatened to kill me. And he wanted to kill my kids. He wanted to kill my grandbaby. And I know this person has a mental illness, but when things are left unchecked, it festers into something else. And my thing is, what's going on? What can we do so we can stop the rise in the mental health? How can we help these kids out at the beginning and not wait until things get so far as school shootings, mass shootings,
Right.
the stuff the kids are doing now? What can we do to nip it in the bud or try to catch it as it's starting before it gets too far? I know a lot of parents get tired.
Right.
I have friends that I know that get tired real easy with their kids, and I hear a lot of things in the street. Well, I can't wait till you turn 18. When you're 18, you're grown. That's not true. These
No,
kids,
they're not grown at 18. Not at all.
they still need to be mentored. They still need to be groomed. They still
Yeah.
don't know what they're doing. They still need to be taught how to be an adult. And if you just throw them out there, what are they
Right.
going to do? Then we end up with what we have now. The suicide rate is growing. 15% of the suicide rates today are for youth between the age of 14 and 24. Suicides are second place when it comes to children dying outside of car accidents. So suicide is number 2 for the death of these youth. So their kids are coming home killing themselves because they're being bullied in school. I mean, what's
Right.
going
Right.
on? I mean, how can we get help with that? How can parents get help with that? Me, I'm old school parent. I'm come
Right.
up to the school. If I see you with a sad face, I'm gonna ask you what's the problem. And I don't know if parents are afraid to ask or they just don't want to
Yeah.
be bothered. I don't know what's going on, but
Yeah.
I feel these kids should not be coming home killing themselves because they're being told that they're telling people they're being bullied. School officials, principals, their
Sure.
parents, uncles, who's ever at home, and I don't know if anyone's listening or they just don't know what to do. So
Right.
I want to bring everyone together to try to see what resources are out here for these children. Maybe these parents don't know the resources
Right.
that are available to them of how to handle a situation besides just hiding in the corner and just letting it. And just
Absolutely.
go wish it away, and it's not.
Absolutely. Yeah. So definitely. So that's why we have all the different experts that are on the panel right now. Either they have their own personal experience
Yes.
or they are directly involved with the youth and they know what's going on out there firsthand. And so if you would like to introduce our guest panelists.
Yes.
And
So
I
we
will
have
bring them on one by one.
Yeah, so we have the lovely Miss Katina Green. She's the founder of Bridging Hearts. Bridging Hearts specializes in help with children in the foster system. And we know that a lot of these kids have issues because of whatever happened in their family homes. This is why they're in the foster system and they can't be forgotten. So we brought her on to get some information and feedback on the children that are in that type of situation.
Okay.
Then next we have, I don't know if she's on yet. Angelica, are you on yet?
Yes.
Yes, I am.
Angelica, she is a high school counselor, so she deals with these kids every day.
Oh, wow.
In the school.
Directly.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Then we have Miss Darlene Banks. She's a mental health technician. She works in a mental health facility. So she works where the actual place they're housed or people are brought in when they have mental health issues. So she's there to give us back some feedback, what's going on in that facility. If your child needs to get into a facility, what can be done, how to do it, or the pros and cons to that option if you need to have that option. Then we have Sabrina Albert. She's the founder and owner of Stonecatcher Counseling. She's also a mental health therapist. So she can give us some feedback on some therapy. If people reach out to her with counseling. I mean, a lot of people are afraid to ask for help.
Yes.
And she's here. She can, give you the resources, give you her information so you can reach out to her. I don't know, Sabrina, do you do virtual? Do you do online?
We do it both, virtual and in person. We accommodate whatever the client needs.
Yes. So, people, whatever they need to be comfortable with, there are resources, for people to reach out to. Then we have last Miss Nakia. She's the founder of Human Networking. She's also deals with mental health and counseling work. So we have all these women.
And Gabby Vargas.
I'm sorry, Gabby. I didn't mean to leave you out. She's the president of NHSPN, which is the National Hispanic Suicide Prevention Network. She's a youth mental first aid instructor and grief counselor. So she is the person that we can contact. Children that are, I would say, they're getting bullied. Because these children are coming home and killing themselves. They don't know what to do. We have all these mass shootings going on. And these are all by kids that are either in school or might have just graduated from the school that they're shooting up.
Right.
So they're to try to get some feedback on just different resources people might need for help.
All right. So why don't we kind of maybe, what do you think? Go one by one and then share a little bit about your experience with the youth, your current status with how you deal with the youth and what you're seeing out there. So maybe going from right to left, Sabrina, if I'm going from left to right from my end. Sabrina, you want to go first?
Yeah, definitely. So I am this founder and CEO of R&B and Stonecatchers Counseling. They are both mental health private practices located in Downers Grove. So we primarily serve the BIPOC communities. So because we believe that a lot of times there isn't the same access for counseling for BIPOC communities. And we also know that poverty disproportionately impacts BIPOC communities. So we are a majority Medicaid practice. So one thing that we're very passionate about is increasing access, because a lot of people don't know it is perfectly legal for therapists in the state to discriminate against people for their insurance plan. So basically it's classism, right? So majority of private practices do not accept Medicaid, which is leaving a lot of our youth, preventing them from being able to access services. So when we started our practice, we were 95% adults, 5% kids. We are now 65% kids and 35% adults. We are getting between 10 to 12 referrals every single day for minors because they don't have any place to go because nobody accepts Medicaid. So on top of the fact that they're already struggling with mental health issues, they're not able to get the care that they need. And it's just turning into a huge crisis for them. I mean, sometimes we don't even know what to do with the amount of referrals that are coming in. I can't even keep up with even making the calls back. Sometimes I'm still making calls at 8:30 at night trying to get back to everyone.
Oh my goodness.
Right. Wow. That's amazing.
And then Darlene is next. You deal directly with the clients that are coming straight to you. So share with us a little bit about what you do daily and what you're seeing out there as far as the youth is concerned.
I work with mainly early adults. I say early adults
Yes.
because from 18 and up. The facility I work at is a state facility, and we are on the forensic and civil side. In order for someone to get admitted into our facility, they majority of any private facility, they have to go to the hospital first and get medically cleared. And then the hospital sends out petitions to various organizations that deal with mental health, that's giving in-care services. For our facility, mainly we deal with individuals that do not have insurance, so they come to us. And majority of the time, they are having a breakdown and need help. Majority of our clients are acute clients. They may stay in for long, let's say 3 weeks to 3 months.
Wow.
If they are deemed unfit to go out on their own, the doctor might see that they need to stay a little bit longer and take them and petition the courts to restrict their rights to stay a little bit longer. But it's basically up to the individual to want to participate in their care.
Sure.
We get quite a few that do not want to participate. They just want to be released, and that's understandable when you're out and you're free, and you can basically do whatever you want, and then your rights is being restricted, and you're being somewhere you don't want to be. Right. So we basically, on our end, we try to teach them coping skills, how to cope with whatever that's going on with them. And it can be a variety of things, PTSD, of situations they have gone throughout their life. We give them avenues of exercise. We teach them everything that we need to teach them. And we also tell them that, it's okay to not be okay. Right. Yes. It is okay not to not be okay. It's okay to ask for help when those moments when you need help. The Black community is very big on we don't say anything, we hush. Seeing a therapist that's a no. So I'm teaching people, members of my family, that it's okay to not be okay.
Absolutely.
It's part of life. It's how you handle it. It's how you deal with it. The coping part of it. Everybody don't cope with same situations as someone else does. We are different, so we're going to cope different. So I'm going through a situation right now. Personally, my niece is going through things that she has to learn coping skills and how to handle it. She's getting much better, thank God. But yes, there's tons of resources. Wow. And we have to let people know, people of color, we need it. We need to let us know, because
absolutely,
who else is there to help besides us? Right. We have to help each other. So
yeah. And I think I sent something, a post that I seen earlier, sent a screenshot to Sabrina about the stats, similar to what you're saying, is that in the therapy counseling centers, you see less, minorities. However, in the emergency rooms, they make the highest percentage of the emergency room going for mental health issues. However, they're the lowest percentage that seeks mental health.
Right.
So, we want to go over to Miss Angelica, who deals directly with the youth. So yes, share with us how, what you're seeing out there as far as the high school kids, and how the stats are going out where you're observing.
So I've been a high school counselor for 17 years. I originally worked in the Elgin community area, South Elgin, and now I work at Hoffman Estates, which has a large minority population. I started there about 13 years ago and didn't realize a big group of our students came from Cabrini Green.
Wow.
And so a
To
lot of them,
Hoffman Estates?
yeah, there's a certain area that they placed them in.
Wow.
And so learning of their background and the trauma, there's a lot of trauma with a lot of these families that people don't talk about. Just what's happened to their families. And again, I'm Hispanic, I'm Mexican, and in our culture, just like Black culture, whatever you talk about stays in the house. You don't talk to anybody that's not in the home about anything regarding mental health or what's happening in the home. And so what I find is when I talk to parents, many times they just say that the child is acting out. And of course, we have to always report when someone even jokingly says, I want to kill myself. Like we are mandated to bring that student down, do a risk assessment, see if it's valid, and then call the parents. And I think the most frustrating thing to me is when we have children that continuously say it over and over again, and the parents do not take them for help. And mainly it's because, which this is such a priority, like therapy needs to somehow be covered everywhere. But just like dental insurance and medical insurance, so many parents are low income. And they're sliding scale. But oh my gosh, the waiting list is ridiculous.
Yes.
I don't know if the government needs to like get more psychiatrists, but the waiting list for psychiatrists is out of control. It's like 6 months to get on medication.
Wow.
Like we need to do something, in the government to promote people to go into psychiatry, maybe help subsidize medical school, something. But every time I talk to parents, I can't get my kid in for 6 months, and not being able to stabilize their mood is huge.
Wow.
And so I understand the parents, I have parents say I can't even go to, Streamwood Behavioral because I still owe money.
Sure. Oh my goodness.
So so it's like it happens, but it's a reality for people. So I understand the stress with it, but I feel like it needs to be a national priority in our country because again, we're seeing too many people, young people killing themselves. Even what's nice in my district is we follow a modeled Erica's Lighthouse, which is a suicide prevention. So we go into physical education classes and talk to freshmen and sophomores and just talk about if you hear something, say something, report it, even if you don't know, because there's just too many people, killing themselves. And then we see people that are very famous, have recently killed themselves. And again, I think it goes back to the stigma. I think it also should be parent education. For the past 13 years, I've been running Latino parent meetings in my building. And a lot of the parents don't understand what anxiety is, what depression is. I didn't know what that was. And I have had it my whole life.
Wow.
So I think we need to do a better job in schools, even in elementary school. We need to do a better job of educating parents about what the signs are and things they need to look for.
Absolutely. And it seems to be common, it sounds like, in Asian and Hispanic and Black communities where hush hush, you can't speak up, you know what I mean? Like it's just crazy.
Or I even had students say like, no, I don't want to see a therapist. That means I'm crazy. And then I like self-disclose and I say, I see a therapist, healthy people see therapists.
Yes.
And it's not just because I'm in a crisis, it's because I have daily stresses. I hear all of your stories, which sometimes are traumatic, and I need somebody to, talk to about these issues.
Absolutely.
But I think just trying to normalize it, I think that really would help the youth.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think all across the board, just normalizing mental health. Yeah. We used to be told the same thing too. You're crazy if you go talk to a shrink, right? And so it's common across the minority household, I believe, too.
Absolutely.
So the other three, I don't deal directly with the youth. However, they have organizations that help, you guys as well, because they are the go-to people before you have to go to the specialist because of the long waiting list as well. We kind of skipped Tina because I didn't see her on the camera, but we'll go to Tina. Kia's down in the bottom, and then we'll go to Gabby. So Tina, can you share a little bit about your organization, how you help the youth?
Absolutely. Can you hear me, Lori?
I can.
Okay,
I
great.
can hear you.
Hi, my name is Tina. I am the founder of Bridget Heart. And our organizational goal is just to help the youth that age out of the foster care system and help them become more self-sufficient and independent in a safe and healthy environment. So what we want to do is provide housing and resources for them right as they age out of the foster care system. So that's what we do.
Awesome.
And you know what? I just want to say something before I go.
Yes.
I am a proud ambassador for NHSBN, and I want to
Yes.
say a lot of the things that y'all was touching on, she can actually help you with. She actually deal with parents and helping them cope with knowing the signs, and she has a certification class that you can take and stuff like that. So I'm kind of excited for you guys to hear what she has going on, because I think it'll touch a lot on what you guys need help with. And Miss Sabrina, I would love to talk to you if that's possible.
Anytime.
I'm gonna let her. All right, I'll be reaching.
Yeah,
out
and
to
I
you.
think
That's what we do.
I think Angelica and Gabby, you guys both, I think, touch home right there when it comes to Hispanic Mexican families. You both are, in mental health, and you have the
Dealing
same
with the
sort of
parents and
stigma with the parents and stuff with mental health, as I think all of us do. So thank you, Tina, for sharing that.
of course.
Kia.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nakia Tisby. I'm the founder of Human Network. And what we do here in the Birmingham, Alabama area is provide life skills to youth and young adults ranging from age 15 to 25 who have been diagnosed with a mental illness. So what we do is we connect them to resources that they may need to aid them in their journey. And we also provide education to parents as well. And one of the things that I would like to touch on, which is my life mission, is to destigmatize the idea around mental health and not being ashamed to ask for help when help is needed, especially in the African American community. And someone mentioned suicide. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for teens ages 10 to 34. So that is, and since the pandemic, that has become a really huge issue. And I feel like with those on the line, I feel like if we all advocate and petition together, we can normalize the idea around seeking help. Excuse me. We can normalize the idea of seeking help when help is needed.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And Gabby, share about your organization and how you help the youth with mental health.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's nice to see some old friends on this call. Nikki, and just I am so proud of every single one of you for working and being ambassadors of this, advocates of this mission, which we all in some sort of way do it within our lifestyle and what we do for the community. For me, it's suicide prevention is important because I know what it's like to be, the loss of my cousin and a friend. So a suicide loss survivor, that side of a loss that I don't want any parent or family to go through. But at the same time, my personal experience dealing with a lot of issues that as immigrants coming from Mexico, my parents didn't really know how to deal with it. So you grow up in like such a difficult environment, even though they were trying their best and they were doing, the best they could with what they had. But there was just a lot of lack of, I would say, social skills and, bringing up things that, emotional things that we never talked about. That growing up in a very faith and religious family, it was always like a lack of within yourself, right? Like a lack of spirituality, or a lack of being like a better person, or a lack of doing good for the community. There was always that lack of. So for me, working with youth is just like, reinforcing the confidence within the youth and families that we are there for each other. And the youth mental health first aid, it's like CPR for mental health. So knowing the signs and symptoms when someone's going through a crisis, because like you have all said, there's like a wait list, right? So these youth are going back home, these young people are going back home, and so if there's not that stability within the environment that they're healing or recovering in, or waiting to get professional help, they're at risk. They're pretty much going back home to an environment that is not ready to accept, what they're going through and help them through it. And as a grief support specialist, I've heard, the details of every suicide story, of every loss, and there are the signs and there are the symptoms. And I think just a lot of people are afraid to ask, like, how are you doing? Because they don't want to really know the truth, or maybe they'll be afraid of what if they do say they do want to kill themselves? Like, what would I do next? So it's like what we've said, normalizing the conversation, normalizing asking people, have you thought about killing yourself? Do you have a plan? It's such a difficult and difficult conversation to have. But, as someone that, I was at the seconds from taking my life, I was just like, I wanted someone to really ask me how I was doing, because I really just needed to validate within myself that what I was feeling was okay to feel, and that, because I felt so guilty for even thinking about, taking my life. But at the same time, it felt so like such a peaceful decision, to take. So again, I know it's really difficult to talk about these topics within every space in our community. But it starts at home, where these youth are coming home to, it matters. And just for us, it's normalizing the conversation and making it okay for parents to say, hey, I don't know how to deal with the situation as a parent, or hey, I feel guilty as a parent that, they don't want to be here. Like, I am part of I tell them now, like, stay away from saying like you're part of the problem. Like, you are part of the solution. Just looking at it that way, that they're part of the solution. And one thing that parents, I think, have a really difficult time too is that age where now the kids don't have to share with them anything that is within the medical profile, right? So there's that frustration, like, I don't know what she's sharing, and the doctors don't want to tell me because now she's got her own privacy, like, rights. So like, what do I do? And so it's bridging that gap of communication, because sometimes youth are just hurt. They don't want to talk to the parents anymore. They don't want to talk to the therapist. Like, they just want you to think that they're okay. Just don't bother them. Don't talk about it. But it's like, again, going back to nurture them and let them know that they can trust us, and that we're part of the safety plan, to grow up, and that we'll be there for them no matter what.
Yeah. So are there different in the youth, it could be different than it was back then with everything going on with social media and things like that. Like, as a parent of teens, are there certain things that we should be looking for that may be like troublesome, or signs that parents may not be aware of that they should be looking for? And, whoever wants to go or raise their hand can go ahead.
I think depending on the age level, I think parents really need to monitor their their children's cell phones, because TikTok has been putting a lot of different videos, and there's been times where children have accidentally killed themselves. There's been different challenges that have gone on. And again, the kids don't understand like what could happen and the consequences. So I think that, I'm not saying high school necessarily, but I'm seeing much younger children now with cell phones and unlimited access to social media. And I think, again, they think everything on TikTok, even my high school students, think it's all true. And so I think that parents need to kind of monitor their children's, social media in that sense, and possibly even monitor who they're with, who they're spending time with. And again, I exactly what Gabby said, students may not want to talk to parents, but parents can call the school and talk to a social worker, a school psychologist, or the high school counselor. And many times, like in our building, we've identified a trusted adult for the student. So like, I have 270 students on my caseload. And so if they don't they don't bond with me, I tell them that's okay. I just want them to have a trusted adult. So I think that's what's really important, is that the parents, reaching out for help. We understand they don't know, but just coming to us so we can provide resources in the community.
Yeah.
That brings up a good question. So, from the collective, what is a good age for a child to be able to utilize social media?
Never. No.
25.
27.
27 when the brain is fully developed.
Happy 30th.
Yeah, that's a good one.
30.
I have an 18-year-old and then I have an 11-year-old, and my 11-year-old still doesn't have a phone. And I think one thing I learned is that even though he doesn't have a phone, it doesn't mean that he's not going to watch something I don't want him to watch. Right. So I think it's going back to having those conversations with them, like, if, what are you watching? Whatever you're not allowed to watch here, it goes everywhere you go. It's like, again, building that trust, like the maturity level that they have, because let's talk about pornography, another thing that these kids are being exposed to at such a young age. And he didn't need to have a phone, it was on the school bus, somebody else showed everybody. And then even with the Chromebooks, they get around the web in a way that they can search whatever they want. So again, it's going back to making sure your kids just know, the consequences of this, even though it's a hard conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's I think that it's, I hate to say it like this, but social media can be sometimes a death sentence within himself. Mm-hmm. I mean, because you see people in their, youth, and they see people online, and they have, or other youth that they see online portrayed to have these, extraordinary lives and these extraordinary experiences. And then they go into comparing their lives with someone else, and it makes them feel inadequate. And then that just brings on more, instability mentally to them. And so we definitely have to have the conversation that everything that you see on social media, everything that you see on the internet is not real. It's not.
Absolutely.
So I have a point. I'm glad you guys are talking about, cell phone coverages. My children are grown, but I do have a grandchild, and I'm kind of tired of hearing parents say that, oh, my child has privacy. He can lock his door, shut his door. He has rights to his privacy. Here's the thing. Here's my thing. So if you're dating, or if you're married and you suspect your significant other of cheating or talking to someone they're not supposed to, where are you going? You're following them around. You're going on their phone. Who has more privacy? That grown up or you? So if you can get up out the bed and go follow and see where your man is at, or go through your woman's phone and see who she's been talking to, you definitely can pick up your kid phone and see who they've been talking to. Right. Stop saying, "Oh, my child has privacy; they have rights."
Right. No. Right.
If you can do that, you can monitor.
Oh gosh, what are you about to say?
I'm sorry. It might hurt.
I'm just going to comment on a few points that she touched. Okay. First of all, I am true old school. My daughters were sneaking boyfriends over, so I just took the door off the hinges, and we alleviated that problem right there. But
I put cameras in the house.
Yeah, I know. I just take the door off the hinges. The door off. If he still want to attempt that, then bruh, that, and then two, because I'm the only gentleman on the panel.
Oh goodness.
I would just like to say that no, if I thought my wife was cheating, I would not go through her phone or follow her.
Everyone don't do that, but
it's true.
There's a lot of people that do. And
if I gotta look into my wife's phone, we got more problems than we even know about. So I ain't gotta look in her phone. If I'm that distrustful, we got problems in our relationship regardless of the phone.
Right, yeah.
So no, I'm not gonna look in her phone. But I do understand the point of, with my children, I pay for everything. That's how I go about it. That is not yours. I'm letting you use that. So anytime I want to see your phone or your computer or whatever the case may be, unless you put dollars down on that, you have no say in that. So privacy is not an issue. But I kind of was letting you guys talk because I know we had a deep panel. I wanted everybody to get their points across. But and this, you guys are experts. I'm not. So I put a lot of it back on the parents as well. And the reason why I said this is I've never whooped my boy, but he knows the fear of God in our relationship. You know what I'm saying? So in that aspect, you ain't got to beat no child. You ain't got to do none of that stuff. But there should be what I describe as a healthy fear of your parent, that whether it's physical, whether it's putting on punishment, whatever the consequences are, that if I do something wrong, I can't get away with.
It's all
Um,
respect.
right, because that's prevalent throughout life. If you do something wrong when you're an adult, there are
Mhm.
consequences to your actions. So I put it on the parents at times because I don't feel everyone wants to be friends with their children. And don't get me wrong, me and my oldest son are like best friends. We sit up and play video games together, go to the movies. I coached him in basketball for 5, 6 years, so we like one. But at the same time, he understands when I say something, I mean what I say. But that, I think that is a parenting thing, as opposed to, of course, our times has something to do with it. The aspect of social media, the aspect of us being more of a open society where we can talk about certain things that we never used to talk about. So I understand that aspect, but I think there's an aspect as well of, like I said, I want to be my child's friend. I want them to like me, as opposed to I'm responsible for guiding this young person's life so that they become a responsible adult. So without a doubt, all of the external factors are a portion.
Right.
The children and how they grow up is a portion, but I also believe that parenting is a portion of that as well.
But then the issue becomes the unstable parent, right?
Mhm.
The issue becomes the parent who was also dealing with their own mental health issues. Therefore, it becomes, an issue for the kids because of that. The absent parents, the parents on drugs, the parents with mental health issues. So then that becomes an issue with the youth because of that. There's no role model or guidance that is positive in their lives, which leads them into a dark path as well, I believe.
I agree. In those situations where your parental figure isn't quite right to that degree, I understand that totally. And that to me, that's a different aspect of the conversation. But I'm saying parents that, and we know some parents that middle income families, the nuclear family, so to speak, 2 kids, married, the whole 9 yards. But because of the time that we live in, I want to, I don't want to disappoint no one wants to disappoint their child, but I want to be friends with my child. I try to respect my child. It's a different time. It's a different era. And I feel that that is a part of it. When you grow older, for good or bad, you take a portion of your parents with you. I believe this. If you have parents around, so to show that responsibility, that respect, things of that nature, even if it's small, that follows you into life. And we don't have a lot of that from certain parents. A friend of mine said one time is that when we were growing up, our mom was 30 plus, but we had our grandma who was 50 plus, and they taught us the facts of life. A lot of people are having kids younger. So now you're only 24. You haven't learned some of those life lessons that your mom and your grandma, or as a boy, your dad and your grandfather would impart to you. So there's my thought is there's a disconnect somewhere. I don't know where. And once again, you guys are experts, so you can tell me. But I think that the parental relationship has a large factor in some of these things, for good and for bad at times.
Yeah. What do you feel is like the biggest factor, and maybe there isn't an answer for this, but that leads to a youth having a mental health breakdown? What is like the leading factor for that?
I think
Feeling
coming
neglected.
from. No, go ahead.
I'm
You
sorry.
finish.
Go ahead. Nope, you go. No, Angelica,
Neglected.
go for it.
I heard
Okay.
neglected, and what
No, I was
else?
just going to say, coming from sometimes single family homes where
Single
the parents
family.
are trying to manage everything, the income, responsibilities, maybe, it's a large family. Also, a lot of times students, they come from traumatic experiences from childhood that we're not aware of, either emotional abuse, physical abuse, other types of abuse. So I think that all contributes to, and not really having good role models. And I agree. I think a lot of parents do not want to parent anymore. I mean, my saying that I keep saying in my high school and people laugh, but I think it's true. You should have to have a license to have more than 2 children because people don't understand the responsibility. We have to pay taxes, we have to pay licenses for everything, right? If we want to have certain things. And this is a human being. You know, this is a gift, you know, for someone to have a child. And I just feel like so many people don't realize the responsibility. And that poor child, I always say, it's neglect, it's abuse that makes them be in these poor adult choices, you know, later on in life. And so it really, my heart bleeds for these kids because some of them never got a fair chance. It's not, I mean, it's not that they can't pull themselves out, but they have to have that mindset that they can do better. And that's what breaks me is that, you know, it's not their fault, but these parents just don't want to take responsibility. And many times they throw it at the school. Everything's the school's fault, school's fault, school's fault. And it's like, you know what? You had this precious, beautiful baby 14 years ago. And now they're, you know, it's kind of like a plant. You don't give it water, you don't give it sunlight. What happens? It dies, it wilts. Same thing with the child. It's like you didn't give it love, you didn't give it attention. All of these things. And I'm going to do my best to try to lift them up, motivate them, encourage them. But I'm one person.
Yeah, right. Just
The person they want,
students.
yeah, and the person they want love from the most is their parents.
Yeah.
You know,
Do
that's what I hear.
anyone? I'm sorry.
No, I'm
Do
done.
anybody remember the phrase that came out a long time ago? Babies having babies.
Yes.
Babies having babies.
Are there more babies having babies now?
I think it's less than it used to be from when I was younger. If you don't have the parenting skills to raise a child, that child learns to fend for itself in the best way they know how.
Right.
And a lot of times some children becomes resentful towards their parents. And I see a lot of that, especially in males at the facility that I work at. A lot of males just despise their mothers for some odd reason.
Wow.
And it's all because the mothers are single, they're parenting alone, and they're trying to do what they can do, the best that they can do. And these young men really despise their mothers, and that's a trickle down to how they feel about women in general.
Wow.
However, you have the young ladies that don't have that connection with their mothers. And that's an issue, and they don't have connections with their fathers. So parents is very vital, and if the parents have issues, the child is going to have issues. It trickles down, and the chain needs to be broken. Majority of the time, the parents need therapy as well, and the child needs therapy too. So it's a long time ago, when I was younger, by the time I had my third child, because I have 5 children, Ronald Reagan, when he was president, he cut a lot of the social services, and it started with mental health. He cut all the funding for mental health. Okay, so see how it has built up throughout the years.
Yeah, that's the most important thing that you need.
I was going to respond to what's that young lady right there,
Angelica.
Okay, so you and Sabrina, because Sabrina thought so as well. I agree and I disagree, and why I say that is we can't have an Orwellian society where you have to pay to have a kid, because then there's that's a dark path that we go down. But I do agree that you should have formal training before you can have a kid. So you have to take classes and go through this process.
You got to be trained on everything else.
I mean, when you get a gun, you got to take CCW classes. You got to go through certain stuff.
Should be mandatory.
So I do believe that, because we got 4, and it's hard raising a kid. Wholeheartedly, it is hard. But there are things that you do with your parents that you will remember for your rest of me showing my son how to tie a tie for his first school dance. Things of that nature, I think stick. I tell my son all the time, and I reference my dad. My dad showed me how to put on a suit, flick your cuffs, things of those. So I think that type of stuff is passed down. So it helps, because what I don't want to do is harp on single mothers, single fathers, because it is an extremely tough job that they're doing. And I come from a single mom. And, I think that, her along with my extended family did a good job. I'm coming from the inner city. So I heap praise upon single moms and single dads. At the same time, I believe that there's something missing when you have a child at a very young age, or if you have a child without without a partner, whether that is the man taking care of the kid or the woman taking care of the kid. There's just an extra portion that is missing that makes you have to work so much harder as a parent. My 2 cents.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to say, being aware and paying attention is important too. Just for an example, I just met with about 10 or 15 girls from a high school in the Elgin area, and I met with them at this at Gabby, say the studio for me so I don't slaughter it.
Grandma
Studio. Yes, and Gabby also announces that place as a safe space, right? So as I'm telling her, they're telling them her story along with mine, and I was telling them within 24 hours of me saying that, someone from the high school, and I'm not finna blast anyone, reached out to me and was inquiring about the safe space. Now, me not being pushy and letting them do things on their own pace. If I need to reach out, then I will. But just that fast. And I'm thinking in my head, had I not mentioned that was a safe space, where would they have gone? What would they have done? So it's just paying attention and just letting them know about resources. For me, it's just like old school, bringing places for them to go, like skating rinks.
Yeah.
We used to have a neighborhood, clubhouse, places, things that you can do. And for me, just giving kids, because I do believe that if you don't give kids something to do, they're gonna find something to do, and more than likely, it's gonna be something that you don't like. So I am a firm believer in giving kids something to do. So for me, it's just bringing back places and giving these kids somewhere to go and making them feel like they belong, and just being aware and paying attention. But I just had to say that. Thank you.
But you also have to have parents that are willing to keep going. A lot of parents, I know, having kids is hard, especially when they start going through their preteen, teenage phase. But you can't give up. And if you easily give up, then you done lost control, and that's it. And a lot of these kids, I personally know parents that gave up. Like, I don't want to deal with you anymore. Like, they just 12, 13. What do you mean you don't want to deal with me?
No weakness.
Right. So you can't be weak with the kids, but I mean, they are being weak with the kids. They give up so easily, and no one has the stamina or the strength to want to keep going to make sure their kids are doing what they're supposed to do, because your children are a reflection of you. And I'm always say that, because even if they're 21, 25, 30, they still a reflection of you. People make fun of me because, I kind of keep my hands on my kids. They're 29, 25. I don't care. Until I know you flying right, you still a reflection of me. If you go out there and be stupid, then that makes me look like I don't raise a kid that do stupid stuff.
Right.
So I kind of take it personally if you out there doing something foolish. So I'm gonna stay on top of you to make sure you know how to be an adult out here and handle yourself correctly, and you're not out here carjacking. I mean, whatever. I told my son, it's probably the craziest thing, and I meant it from my heart, and I was dead serious. I said, if I ever found out you was getting high on drugs, I would kidnap you off the street and you wake up in a rehab facility. I am dead serious.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I must say this. I'm a mother of 5. My oldest is 41. My youngest is 32. You're absolutely right when you say that parenting is hard by yourself, because I raised them by myself. And you have to be active with your children. Very active. You have to know their whereabouts, who they're talking to, what time to get home, what they're eating, what they're not eating, are they sick, how they feel. You have to know, you have to be very intuitive with your child. Even now, with my oldest being 40, I'm calling them. We got to chat. What you doing? Where y'all at? Everybody check in. With my grandchildren, how's my grandchildren? I want to know. I'm constantly being proactive in my children's life to let them know I am here. Talk to me. We talk about any and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I don't agree with some of the things they might do, I let them know I don't agree, but I'm still here for support.
Sure.
And we need to get to that point, you know,
Exactly.
with everybody. And
And I would like to address that we haven't, I mean, we're talking about kids in social media, we're talking about kids in pornography, we're talking about kids with behavioral issues.
everything.
But
Yes.
there's also that demographic of teens, young adults who are struggling with their sexuality, those who identify with the LGBTQI
Correct.
community, and they don't have much of a safe space to go to, especially if they don't have it at home. And they need to have a space where they feel okay, especially if they're being bullied at school because of their identification. And so we need to create a safe space for not only the parents to talk to and address these issues, but the teens as well.
Right. Absolutely. So now that we've kind of identified, some signs and some areas to choose from, how about we end this with each person kind of sharing a little bit to the parents that are watching, a little bit about what they can do, what solutions, what things that you would tell them if they came to you, to your practice. What are some of the things that you would give them advice on or direction in to help with this?
Sabrina, you're talking directly to me right now. So give me your best.
Yes.
All right. So as someone like me, I've struggled with depression my entire life. I'm very open about that. I'm a ketamine patient. Like that's how bad my depression has gotten. And the one thing that I do is I have open discussions with my son, and he's only 4, right? Like I have been a ketamine patient for 6 years. I started to have an episode probably about a month and a half ago. I started TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation, which you have to go to every single day, Monday through Friday, for 35 treatments. And every day when we're going in the car, I always tell them that mommy has depression and that it's not your fault. And I'm going to get help because getting help is okay. And then I bring it up later, like not all the time, but like my biggest thing is that even at 4, I want to have open dialogue because I didn't have that at home, right? Like I felt like I needed help for a really long time when I was a teen, and growing up in a strict Indian family, like a lot of that just was not an option. So, to all the parents out there, I just say, open up the dialogue, be able to go to your child and apologize, or say like, I was feeling really sad and I didn't get out of bed, and you know what? It's not your fault. And I'm going to work on it.
Right.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So Gabby, you want to go next?
I love what you just said, Sabrina, right?
Yeah.
The power of vulnerability as a parent, that our kids know that we aren't perfect, and also understanding what they're going through too. Like I was sharing, my 18-year-old right now, I know he was going through some panic attacks, and it was over him thinking that everybody expected him to be the man of the house when he was turning 18.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, who's everyone? Nobody is even telling him anything. And so again, just understanding what they're going through, kind of like when we were growing up, all the stuff that we were insecure about, and just having patience with them really matters. And like I was saying earlier, the signs and the symptoms could be so different for each person, but if you're not, taking the time to spend time with them, how are you going to know when they're acting different? I was reading something that said we're losing our children in their bedrooms, because a lot of times we feel like they're okay because they're at home in their bedroom, but what is really happening in their bedroom? What are they really feeling? And so, bringing back, having dinners at the table with them, even if it's a couple times a week, just that quality time, so that you do know, hey, something is going on, like, being available to them to share with you. But we're all trying our best at the end of the day, right?
Absolutely.
And parents,
we are
reaching out for help for our own well-being, like somebody had mentioned, really matters. We can't help anyone unless we're really looking at how we're helping ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You can't pour from an empty vessel. And as a person living with bipolar disorder and raising a child, it was very hard for me some days to even pay attention to my child because of the manic episode that I was going through. And so My son will be 21 in about a couple of more weeks. And he's always told me how supportive I've been of him and how much he appreciates me being such a pillar in his life. But there were moments when he was younger that I wasn't there for him. And I feel like I failed him because I was dealing with my own crisis. And so, Sabrina, I kudos to you for being so open with your child and sharing in your diagnosis and helping that child to understand and normalizing that it's okay to get help and it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah. And what message do you have? We can go to you next, Kia. Message do you have for the teens, parents, youth?
So I just want to go back on what Sabrina and Gabby said. The word here is being vulnerable. I mean, you have to be able to be open to listen to your child and be open to receive the truth. I think for me, when I was growing up as a teenager, one thing I was afraid of was the truth. I was afraid to be honest with my grandparent at the time who raised me because I didn't want to be judged because I felt like I wouldn't be understood. And so just having that vulnerability to say, hey, I'm not perfect. I may not have all the answers, but we are in this together and we can get through it together.
Absolutely.
And just being transparent with your journey as well. That's how I'm able to help the youth that I serve, just being transparent with my diagnosis, being transparent with my depression, being transparent with my anxiety, to let them know that this is the face that you see, the face that you come to for help also goes and gets help as well.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Let's see, who do we go to? Let's go to Miss Darlene. What's your message for the teen parents or youth parents?
My message is, don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Yes, you are the parent. However, when you try to hide situations and issues that's going on in the home, don't think that child don't see. They see, they feel, because the way you respond, they're going to feel your reaction. They're going to feel you. Your children feel your energy. Just like you feel your child energy, they feel your energy. And so don't mask it. Sit them down, be vulnerable, tell them exactly what's going on. Put it in the words where they can understand you. And then allow them to talk to you. Get their input.
Absolutely.
Get their input. Have that communication with them. Be an active listener, not just don't be a dictator. Be an active listener. Mind your words to your child, because your words can hurt. When I was growing up, they were saying that, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Yes, they do.
Can.
They do. I was always, as a young parent, I was always mindful of what I said to my children. I would say, don't act stupid. You're not stupid. Don't act stupid. I always gave words of affirmation to my child. You're very intelligent. You're very intelligent. You're beautiful. And to this day, my daughter tells me, she said, you never said anything negative to us. Even when we did something wrong, it works. And not only that, speaking those words of affirmation to your children, it makes you feel good as a parent as well. It makes you feel good. Speak those words of affirmation to yourself as well. Like Mary J said, you're beautiful. You're beautiful. Inside and out.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to get the help that you need.
Awesome.
Because if you need it, your children are going to need it as well.
Need it as well. Thank you.
Don't.
Miss Angelica.
I think my advice to parents would be, you know your child better than anyone else does. Be observant. There's going to be teenage angst, but I think, a mother's intuition, grandma, auntie, whoever is like that mother figure or who's that guardian, I would say, just observe. A lot of times parents don't check grades, which everything's now online. You know your child, whether or not they've been good in math or English or whatever, and then you see a decline. Sometimes that's a first sign of maybe something's going on, or could be, friends, maybe just choice of friends. It could be a child who has a disability who hasn't been diagnosed. You have to be the biggest advocate for your child. And that's so important, and you need to be involved. Even again, they do get into those certain stages where they don't want you, but then they will want you later on again. It'll come around.
Yeah. They'll want you later on in life.
Exactly.
They hate you when they're a teen.
Yes. And I just think, listen to your teen. And if you don't know, that's what we're for. That's why, we have social workers, psychologists, and school counselors, because we're here to provide you support, because we know you don't have the answers. We know this is, again, new to people. So just reach out, to the school, and we're here to help you and try to guide you with resources to help your family.
Awesome. Thank you. Miss Tina, what message do you have for the youth's parents that may
Well,
be
the first thing I
struggling?
want to say to the parents listening is don't judge. You would probably be surprised with what your teen or your kid might come say to you, but understand that the way they do things and the way they live is a lot different from how we did things and how we may have been raised. So sometimes they'll come to you with some things that'll blow your mind. So just take a deep breath and try not to judge. But yeah, that's big. That was big for me. So yeah, don't judge. And for the kid listening, see something, say something. There's a lot of things going on around you, and just find that person that you feel like you can trust and say something. We don't want to say that you snitching. I'm not saying snitch on somebody, but the difference when you may need self-harm, or if they self-harming themselves or something like that, for example. That's what I mean by see something, say something. So yeah, that's to the parents and to the youth.
And I would like to say that I would like to just say something, or add something. Become a mental health first responder. That is something they offer free classes for that. Some you have to pay, some you don't. They're free. And just like Gabby said, it's CPR. 'Cause you're able to identify the signs and the symptoms of not only a youth that's going through crisis, but an adult as well. And so don't be afraid to seek education. Just like Miss Angelica said, utilize your resources. Don't be afraid to ask for help for yourself or for your child.
Absolutely. Mr. Colvia, would you like to give a message for the youth, teen parents?
Yeah. So
that's
everyone that's listening, if you are in need of help, all these ladies are here to assist. You can reach out to us at Freeview Services. We can connect you to anyone that needs assistance. Gabby, she does the help with grief counseling. So if you feel like you want to hurt yourself, Sabrina, she does actual counseling. So if you need any mental health help, we can connect you with her. Miss Darlene, she actually works in a mental health facility. So if you have questions and you want to find out, what goes on in there, if that is an avenue that you have to go down with your child or someone in your family, someone that might have to go into a mental health facility, you can reach out to her if you have questions, so you can get the insight on what goes on in there. Miss Angelica, she is a high school counselor, so she is on the front line after the parents when it comes to the kids and how they're behaving. Because back in the day, it was peer pressure that we was going through. Now it's influence. So same thing. It's just involved in a different language, but it's all the same thing. We have to watch the children that our kids are hanging around. We have to monitor them more. If you have a child that that in the foster care system, they can reach out to Miss Tina Green. She's helping out with the foster kids, actually kids that are transitioning out. Correct, Tina?
Yes.
So if you're watching, if your child is in the foster system, or if you have a child that's in the foster system that's transitioning out, you can reach out to her, and she can assist you, because a lot of these kids are left behind.
Yeah.
They have the No Child Left Behind in school, but we need to have No Child Left Behind
all over
in the community, all over.
18. Right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we appreciate everybody's input, and thank you for your time coming on the podcast today. It's going to be showing live on Facebook and YouTube. So feel free to share. And then the recording audio version will be on all the major podcast stations, iHeart, Pandora, all the different major stations. Once we finish with this, the replays will be on all the stations. You can share it through there too. For those of your viewers or your friends and family who like to listen to podcasts, they can also listen to this viewing as well. So
now, I forgot about Miss Sabrina. I always forget you. So she's somebody you can reach out to. I mean, Miss Nakia. She can reach out to also for mental health. So if anyone needs a counselor and you don't know where to look, you need to see if your insurance covers. Hey, don't Google that. Google us. We can reach out to her and connect you with them.
Yep. And Sabrina has the R&B counseling service, which is also nonprofit. So if you have clients, or even if you have supporters who might want to, go check it out and be a supporter so that we can help more of the community, minority kids in the community get better access to mental health free of charge, then definitely share with them R&B counseling so they can support, however financially or however way that they can support, so we can continue to raise awareness in mental health in the minority, communities, BIPOC communities, and so we can get the help that they need. So any last words before I let you guys go for the evening?
Yes, it takes a village, guys, and this is the start.
This is right here. I mean, you guys all deserve, it's not an easy task. So I just want to say you all deserve a clap, all praises, because it is definitely, I was one of the troubled teens. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us, have experience or know someone who was a troubled teen. And so it takes a village, and it takes people like caring individuals like you guys, whether you're working in it or actually a volunteer in it, so thank you.
Thanks for all you do, ladies. You're all angels. And sometimes we don't really see the fruition of these things, but we are saving lives and helping families. So keep doing what you're doing.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Bye, guys.
All
right, take care.
Ladies.
Good night. Thank you so much.
Awesome. All right.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see. Awesome.
Good discussion. A lot of different viewpoints.
Absolutely.
A lot of different information that we received.
Yeah, this was a special episode. So it was, a little different than our typical episode. But we just knew that it was going to be a huge panel. So we wanted to dive right in and give you guys the resources that you need in awareness of mental health awareness. But typically we start off with some introductions or some announcement. Is there anything after that you have to
No. Hey, we're gonna party next week though. All right, so it's Memorial Day. So here's how I
bring some uplifting.
Here's how I see this.
How do you see
Friday, everybody gonna cut out from work a little bit early. Saturday, you're gonna go to someone else's barbecue because somebody gonna be partying because you got a long weekend. Sunday, you're gonna decide to barbecue because you don't have to go to work Monday. And then Monday, you guys are gonna eat the leftovers. You might early throw something on the grill just because you got all the accoutrements out. But for the most part, that Monday night, you're just relaxing, eating, sipping on some wine. You got work the next day, but you've had a very relaxing weekend. So you're going to party with Blasian Soul on Monday. We're going to do our, and I affectionately call it our newlywed game episode. But basically, we're going to see how well couples know each other. And it gets interesting. Believe me, it gets very, very interesting.
I know you so much. I know you so well.
That's funny. But
I know everything about you.
We will, we will see how well everyone knows their spouse, and everyone think, I know, she likes steak or corn or whatever. No. When you're put on the spot, it is a totally different scenario.
So we are looking for couples who want to join us. We have a few already. So if you are a couple watching this, it's kind of like therapy, right? Because you kind of like
we keep
getting
it
to know each
we keep
other
it classy.
a little bit.
We don't want y'all arguing
we're,
and stuff.
We're not gonna argue. We're getting to connect better, right, with your spouses. So it's kind of like kind of in a way
it's fun.
It's fun. So if you are a couple that wants to join us,
you gotta take it in a joking manner, because she got a ton of stuff wrong last time, and you see we still here together. So
I did not.
Yeah, you did. What's my favorite rapper?
You just said it last week.
What is my favorite rapper?
You said it last week.
What is my favorite rapper?
Wiz Khalifa.
Who?
Wiz Khalifa.
Did you just say Wiz Khalifa? I have never in my life listened to a Wiz Khalifa song.
Babe.
What?
Okay. I don't know him.
Are you trying?
I don't know him well. Okay.
Are you trying to say Talib?
Talib. Yes, Talib. Yes.
Top 5. But number 1 is Jay-Z. I play Jay-Z all day, every day.
Is your favorite. Okay.
All right. We'll see y'all next week. As you can see, we've been married almost 15 years, and she don't
known
know,
each other.
She don't know what's going on with what. So that plus more next week.
All right.
We'll
see you guys. Same time, same place.
Watch your 6.
All right.